talk a little maritime history. We have a number of people in the studio to help us do that. First of all, we say good morning to the president of the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society, and that's Don Morin. Don, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good seeing you again.
Yes, always.
Also with us, he is a captain on the Great Lakes, spends a lot of his time on the Princess Winona, and we say hello to Todd Shorkey. Todd.
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain.
Thank you
sir.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. And with us also this morning is David D.J. Story, the esteemed newsletter editor, not just the newsletter editor, but the esteemed newsletter.
Bravo.
Yes, happy to grace you with my presence this morning.
We're happy to have you here. I love it. So let's talk, first of all, Don, and I think we do this every time, but for those that may have lived in a shell and hadn't heard of the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society, give us a little background on it, a little history of it.
Started about 33 years ago with a group of guys meeting for coffee with interest in the maritime history of the Saginaw River and the connecting waterways and the history of the shipbuilding.
And I have to ask, was the gal who had all the photographs, I want to say Kathy, I don't know.
Oh, Kathy Baker?
Kathy Baker, yeah. Was she involved?
No.
Not at the time?
I think she passed away at that time.
Oh, she had already passed then?
Perhaps.
Okay. All right. It's just the first name that came to my mind when we talk about it back then. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
It eventually evolved into monthly get-togethers, and we meet 7 times a year at Trinity Episcopal Church in their fellowship hall on Center Ave in Bay City with programs and presenters, and have a great time sharing all the maritime history of lighthouses and the Great Lakes and what's happening with the shipbuilding and the freighting on the rivers.
And, Todd, I know you're going to be a presenter, but give us a little background on your history. What got you into the maritime career, so to speak?
Growing up as a kid, my grandparents lived out on Applin Beach out by the Saginaw Bay, and I spent my summers out there swimming in the bay, watching the freighters come in off the Saginaw Bay. And my family also worked at Defoe Shipbuilding, so I have that background as well.
Oh, wow.
So I got involved with the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society to help with the restoration of the lighthouse, and I met a couple of guys by the name of Steve Haas and Lon Morgan who really got me into the photography of the boats, and I started taking pictures, and then I started keeping a log of every vessel passage on the river, every boat that came in, what dock they delivered to, what cargo they brought in, and all that. So I've been doing that for the last 19 years. This year will be my 20th year of keeping a log of all the passages. So it just kind of started snowballing as time went on, and I got more involved.
What got you into the boat?
I was working as a full-time firefighter for the city of Bay City, and a couple of my coworkers were working as deckhands at the Princess Winona for Bay City Boat Lines, and they said, hey, this would be a great part-time job for you. Come on in. So I did, and I worked a number of years, and I started training to be a captain and got my captain's license 6 years ago, and now I'm the primary captain. So it's been a great experience and a great journey. Had some great mentors along the way that have helped me. So
You retired from public safety?
Yes. Yep. After 25 years at Bay City Public Safety.
Mm-hmm. And DJ, what's your story?
It's a tall story. I'm 6'6". My family's always been into boats, watching the boats come up the river. But boy, one day back in 1981, during the baseball strike, my brothers and I were just out with our 126 camera taking pictures, and we ran into a ship in Carlton named the Sioux River Trader. The most beautiful ship that ever sailed the Great Lakes, in my opinion. But anyways, started taking pictures ever since then, never stopped. Ran into friends that knew just about everything you wanted to know, more than you ever wanted to know about ships.
And I have always found that the folks who are into marine history are passionate about it.
Oh, by all means passionate. Our organization spreads the gamut of those that remembered the wooden hulks that still existed on the Saginaw River in the Davidson shipyard area, to the fact that on the opposite end of the spectrum, my father worked for Steinecker Hydroplane and built the first hydroplane to go 200 miles an hour in a little 4-man shop in Calcallan, where only two of the 4 guys ever finished high school. And everybody always wanted to know where was the engineering staff, and they said School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I guess.
So the spectrum in Bay City is quite extensive.
And I've taken Todd's multiple careers and turned them into a hobby. I've combined them. I'm building a fireboat.
Awesome.
A radio control fireboat. So,
incredible. That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy that part of the hobby. So, the Historical Society, you do a number of presentations throughout the year. What's coming up?
Okay.
Might be a reason why Todd's here.
Well, Todd is our presenter this Saturday. Prior to our Saturday program with Todd, there'll be a special day of family fun activities at the Bay City Town Center, where we have a museum gift shop, and we have the oldest surviving boat built in Bay City. It was built in 1913 by Defoe before it got into the bigger craft, and that is an 18-foot motor launch that's in our museum there. Also, we'll have guests, nationally renowned Lego builders that have built a scene of the Saginaw River, complete with the USS Edson.
Really?
And the lighthouse. They just brought their exhibit back from the Henry Ford Museum. But beyond that, our feature will be Todd on Saturday evening at 6:30 at Trinity Episcopal.
All right, we'll get to Todd in a couple of minutes here, but I want to go back to that oldest boat. How was that found?
It was found at an auction, an estate auction up, I believe, in the Higgins Lake area, and then it ventured up more toward Traverse City, and then we further heard about it and acquired it and raised funds to have it restored and brought back to Bay City for a permanent exhibit. So it's 110, 11 years old now, and we have another one that's only 2 years younger than it that is out at the Fire Truck Museum. It's a 30-footer.
So you find a vessel like that. How do you certify its authenticity?
Well, the oldest came with its original sales paperwork and photographs of the original family using it on Higgins Lake. The 30-footer that we have out at the Toy and Fire Truck Museum, we acquired it from the family that had it for 99 years and only had one family owner. It passed generation to generation. Built from a kit shipped by Defoe to Washington, D.C., yes. Assembled behind the French Embassy and sailed on the Potomac. Then the next generation took it to Woods Hole, Massachusetts, the third generation to the Carolinas, and then they donated to us but said, you've got to raise funds to come and get it. And
I remember that story. That's why I asked, because
yes.
I remember that story, and the part that stuck in my mind was the kit.
So in between there, we have a half a dozen other typically 16 to 20-foot vessels that are in various stages of construction that we've acquired that were from the kit boat industry of Bay City that represents all those middle years between the early 1900s and the 1970s.
It would be fun, probably impossible. They probably don't even exist anymore, but wouldn't it be fun to find an untouched kit?
We have a semi-completed kit that we'll never finish it, and it has the cans varnished, the screws, the window glass in the crates with straw stuffed around them, the little toilet for the little cabin cruiser, all in the crates, and with the plans. And those we would like to find a facility in the future to exhibit those and how this process occurred.
Yeah. There's no room in the historical museum for you guys to have a corner where you can display those things?
No, we currently are, because everything, like our retired president Don Compton said, we didn't take up stamp collecting. We took up a hobby of collecting large artifacts.
All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to turn to Captain Todd and find out what his presentation is going to be all about and tell you the whens and wheres of it. All of that ahead on the Art Lewis Show. All right, we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Don Morin, president of Saginaw River Marine Historical Society. Todd Shorkey, a captain on the river, and he's going to be a presenter this weekend, we'll tell you about. And David DJ Story, the newsletter editor esteemed for the Society. So let's talk about, first of all, when and wheres of this presentation Saturday.
Saturday at Trinity Episcopal Church on Center Avenue in Bay City. Starts at 6:30. And
It's a good thing you know that, because you got to be there.
I had to. My schedule kind of gets crazy at times. I got to double check my memory sometimes. But and it's my second presentation there. I presented last February as well. It was my first time ever making a presentation in front of a crowd, so it was kind of new to me at the time. And I think I've improved things since then. And I got a pretty good show for Saturday night.
So what are we going to talk about?
The program is on the cargoes, the docks that are active on the Saginaw River, and the ships that bring the product in. So it kind of outlines
Current active.
Yep, there's 16 docks on the river that are active right now. Then there's a little bit touching on some of the docks that are no longer receiving cargo, some of the historical docks, but it's basically on current time and the vessels that are bringing them in.
I wonder how many people, if you lined up 100 people, how many could tell you how many active docks there were on the Saginaw River?
Probably not many.
I wouldn't think so. Not me either. Not me.
No. But the docks that are currently active range from one cargo this season up to 42 cargoes received this season. So there's a big variety in the amount of cargoes delivered to the different docks.
But they still, the reason I've seen this was because I was on a cabin cruiser on the river when one was parked, one was docked. Do they still bring in the big windmill blades and turbines on ship?
They were none brought in this year. There was a government program that was subsidizing the windmills, and that was discontinued for 2023, so none were brought in, but I have been told that it's been reinstated for 2024, so we should see them back in again here this year.
They were special ships. I mean, they were pretty good size.
Yep, the big ocean-going salties,
had those
are
blades
called.
laid out on the deck the length of the ship practically.
Yep, absolutely.
So what dock was that? It looked to me like it was the old dock where the Jupiter was, or in that area.
It's downriver a little bit from that. It's called the Port Fisher Terminals Dock. It's located kind of by Bay Harbor Marina out there on the river, and they're the international dock where all the international cargoes are brought in at, and they have a big laydown area where all the cargo can be set out at the dock.
And that's where customs comes to.
Customs will come and check the boat and check the crew and all the cargo before it's unloaded. So,
do we get a lot of international trade here?
in the last few years, we have got quite a bit of international cargoes, mostly the wind turbines, but we do have another boat. It's called the Ivor Bright, that is an international boat, but it's working locally on the Great Lakes, bringing in liquid asphalt to the Bitmat product stock out there at Port Fisher as well. There's actually been some motor yachts brought over from overseas. We had a cargo in 2022 where they brought boats on top of a boat to be delivered here, so that was kind of interesting. So we do get our international cargoes for sure.
So, in terms of the facilities on this river, what's the biggest ship we can handle?
The biggest ship that's been up the river was a tug and barge combo called the Joyce L. Van Eckenvoort and Great Lakes Trader, and it was just over 836 feet in length. And it was too long to actually turn in the turning basin up in Saginaw, so the tug had to come out of the notch, spin the boat around, and get back in it. Normally we get 700 footers, 650, 740 are the biggest. The 1,000 footers used to come in and deliver coal to the Consumers Energy dock. Of course, they couldn't come upriver; they were too wide, too long, and they would have to back out into the bay and turn around out in the Saginaw Bay. So
those days are gone.
Those days, the last cargo of coal was December 28th of last year. Or December 28th of 2022. I'm sorry, and that was the last delivery of coal. So no more coal coming in.
Yeah. What's the number one product that we bring down the river?
By far it's aggregates, stone, gravel is the biggest
Wort
cargo.
Stone Docks, everybody's heard of that one, right?
Yep, Wort Stone Dock and Bay Aggregate Dock they account for probably just over 55% of the product brought in last year to the Saginaw River.
So if we were to look back, Todd, at shipping on the Saginaw River, let's go back, I'll pick a couple of numbers. Let's say 10 and 20 years. How different is shipping today? How much less or more?
Yeah, well, I started keeping a log of the traffic 19 years ago, and that year there was 336 vessel passages on the Saginaw River. In 2023, there was only 171, so it's went down quite a bit. The low was at like 120 a few years ago, so it's kind of rebounded. Pandemic, a little bit, and So it kind of fluctuates. It's kind of on an increase. And the dock owners along the Saginaw River are always looking to diversify and come up with new cargoes, and they've tried different things over the years. And there's always been the push to get grain back to being exported out of the Saginaw River, but that's going to take some dredging to deepen the river.
That was my next question, because I know that for a while the ships had to come in light.
Yes.
And is there not dredging work going on now, or will it?
The maintenance dredging has been pretty few and far between in the last couple of years. There was no dredging at all last year in 2023, and the water depths is going down as well. This year is going to be low water, lack of ice cover on the Great Lakes, and a lot of evaporation, and we're in that cycle where the water levels are going down. So we're about a foot lower than last year at this point. So, well,
that's important when you only have the channel was 28 or 20?
It starts at 27 feet at the mouth of the river and drops to 22 feet up by Saginaw. So as you go upriver towards Saginaw, it gets shallower and shallower, and that's primarily where the grain docks are at, up in the Saginaw area. So the water depths are just too shallow for that type of cargo right now.
Which for the economy needs to be addressed.
No, absolutely. And
I thought there was a proposal to redredge the river, though. Am I wrong?
They're always working on it. The Saginaw River Alliance and different businesses are always working in Congress trying to lobby for more dredging. And a lot of the numbers that I log for them, they use to help show traffic on the river and how dredging is needed in here. So they're always working on it, and it's just one of those things. It doesn't always work out in their favor to get the dredging done. So
as we get new businesses, we look at, for example, the Silicon in Bay City. Do those things have an impact? I mean, do they use water transportation at all?
As you bring that up, in 2023, Hemlock Semiconductor had a cargo that was brought in by saltwater vessel from overseas for a new processing that they're working on. So, and there's rumors that there's going to be another cargo brought in this year for Hemlock Semiconductor as well by water.
What are the issues with saltwater ships coming into our freshwater system?
The big thing was the invasive species brought in, and
exactly where I was going.
They're working on different systems to negate that, treating ballast water and different things. There's a lot of different systems out there, and they're making strides, but it's not perfect yet. There's the invasive species definitely is a big thing. You just look around, and Phragmites and the Asian carp and zebra mussels, and you can go down the list. There's been so many things over the years that were introduced to the Great Lakes that weren't here before. So it's a concern for sure.
All right, we're going to take a break. Todd will be doing his presentation Saturday at Trinity on Center in Bay City, 6:30. And we'll talk more about that. We'll also talk to DJ about the newsletter and what's in it and how you can get it. All right, we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show for this Wednesday morning, talking about the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society with its president, Don Morin, its presenter tomorrow, Captain Todd Shorkey, and also the newsletter editor, DJ Story. And DJ, let's talk about the newsletter for a minute. How often do you put it out, and what's in it?
4 times a year, and it's all history, Saginaw River maritime history. And despite all appearances, I'm not the one-man show. I lean very heavily on historians like Don Comptos and Captain Alan Flood. They knew the people who knew the people. And, of course, then there was the dean of historians, the late Ralph Roberts, who we still have photographs that we put in the newsletter that he gave us.
The only difference is you're esteemed and they're just regular folk.
Yeah, they're just regular folk, yes.
And story writing is excellent, so.
Oh, thank you. Well, I can't take all the credit there either. My mother is the associate editor, and she is an excellent, corrector of my
proofreader,
hyperbole. Yes, she pulls back my hyperbole so it's not too technical, makes it where regular people can read it and enjoy it. She's listening right now, as a matter of fact. She's a big Art Lewis fan, so hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Is your mom esteemed, too?
Oh, she certainly is. She's on another level.
Super esteemed.
Yes.
So how does someone get a hold of this newsletter if they want it?
Well, you can show up at the meeting Saturday night, and you can grab one there with the membership. Or we're online everywhere, the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society. Like us on Facebook. Twitter, formerly X. I guess we're no longer on that, but we're everywhere else.
Where else, Don?
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Wow, you got it all covered.
Oh,
Huh?
we've got a great gentleman, Rob England, that takes care of our internet communications.
And I'm gonna point out something obvious, and this is not to be taken as an insult, but a compliment. You almost, in this day and age, have to do that if you want to attract the younger minds, so that this history stays alive many years down the road.
Yes, that's what we try to make it, bring that history back alive, and that's the way we've found you have to contact people to introduce them to the subject matter, but yet we still print hard copy quarterly newsletters.
Thank you.
And we vehemently resist going to an online newsletter. And we find that the comments we get back are very complimentary to our organization, that we've stayed that way.
Guys of
now you have a library.
our age, I still like to have a piece of paper in my hand.
Me too.
I have been on a number of private boats and things. And while I understand the need for electronics and autopilots and all of those things, there's nothing like having that wheel in your hand, is there, Todd?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
There's nothing better than being out there and kind of navigating, having the wheel in your hand, looking at the horizon and different markers, day markers, and not using anything electronic.
Now,
so.
And I imagine you have to know the river like the back of your hand, because it's forever changing, right?
Right, it is. It changes on a daily basis. The current flows in sometimes. If the wind's blowing the right way, the current's flowing out. It's just shallow water areas you got to watch out for, floating hazards. There's all sorts of things. And then dealing with the bridges and bridge openings and trying to get through it, it's stressful at times.
Tell us about the Princess Winona. How long has it been on the water now? It's been a long time, hasn't it?
The Princess Winona was built back in the 1950s. It was built originally for the Miller Boat Line down in Ohio, and it served South Bass Island as a car ferry. It would carry 8-9 cars at a time, back and forth. Bay City Boat Lines bought it 26 years ago. It's been in Bay City. This will be its 27th season, and this was converted over. We can haul 150 passengers and do all sorts of great trips up and down the river.
And still old power? And
it's the original motor in it still. It's been refurbished. It's had a little bit of work done on it, so it's up to current standards. And she's a great running boat. She handles great. She steers like a dream.
Steel hull?
Steel hull. And in fact, her sister ship was named the West Shore, and Bay City Boat Lines owned that. And it was sold a few years ago to the Starline Company up in Mackinac, and they use it as their freight vessel. It was built exactly the same specs as the Princess was. And they actually use it to break ice sometimes in the harbor up there, because it's thick enough steel hull. They'll up in St. Ignace, they'll break ice with it.
You don't do that with the Winona, do you?
No, absolutely not. So,
what do you do with that in the winter? I mean, do you leave it in the water with a bubble?
Stays in the water, no bubbler needed.
No bubbler
it's strong
needed, really?
enough that the ice forms around it, and that's all we need to do.
Did they not run 2 boats at one time?
We did. We started out with another vessel called the Islander, and we ran a number of trips, and now we can serve our customers with just the Princess Winona, and Islander's kind of in reserve status, and it's in layup right now, so we're just running the one boat.
And the Winona, of course, you can bring on catered food and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've heard from people that have parties on the Winona, love it.
Yeah, everything from catered meals, bands, different types of music, pretty much anything you can think of we can do for you. So,
all right, we'll talk more about it. Take a break first. Be back with our guests. And again, Todd's presentation is Saturday at Trinity on Center in Bay City. 6:30 is the starting time. If you have an interest in marine history, it'll be fascinating. And cost, Don, to go to the presentation?
Our programs are all free and double your money back if you're not satisfied.
Wonderful. All right, we're back with you in studio. Don Morin, he's the president of Saginaw River Marine Historical Society. Todd Shorkey, Captain Todd, will be doing the presentation this Saturday. And David Story, the esteemed newsletter editor for the society. Don, let's talk about membership, because it is a membership organization, isn't it?
Yes, it's only $15 for a person for a year, and you get 4 quarterly newsletters, but they're more than a newsletter. It's not only history, it's current events and what's going on up and down the river, as Todd recently related, and news of how the refurbishing of the lighthouse is coming along that should be open in another year. So it's...
Is that the old Coast Guard headquarters?
Yes, the old Coast Guard station, yeah. Well, it was originally the lighthouse, then it became the Coast Guard station when the navigation channels changed direction. So we've been involved with that project for 25 years, and now there'll be a new road put in next year, even with all the infrastructure with utilities. And the white paint is off the building now, and it's back to its original beautiful brick.
So you're doing a lot of work on it.
Yeah, that's a big Dow project. There'll be around 380 acres out there.
Dow owned that land, right?
Yeah, they own all that land out there. And Saginaw Valley will be an overseer of the majority of the acreage out there with wildlife habitat and nature trails. And they just had an announcement about their a Great Lakes Research Center that's going to be in that area.
Like a marine park?
Yeah, we could maybe refer to it that way.
All right. So if somebody's interested in membership, how do they find out about it?
They're again get on the internet or call me on my cell phone's in my pocket all the time. Area code 989-545-9425.
All right, Todd. Let's talk about the Princess Winona. What's your season now?
A season generally starts May 15th and runs through October 15th. They do offer free cruises, historical cruises, in the month of July, every day, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. until noon. And we have narrators on board talking about the history of the Saginaw River, a lot of the businesses that used to be there, the old lumbering days, all that stuff is covered. So
where do you go, out to the mouth and turn around?
We go out to the mouth of the river from
do you
our
ever
dock.
go the other way down towards Saginaw?
We do. Tuesdays and Thursdays, actually, we go towards Saginaw. So they get the history of the river up that way as well. No cost. You can get your tickets online when it starts the season, BayCityBoatLines.com. And it's a great time. So.
And where, if somebody wanted to find out about chartering it for a party or something, what would they do?
Yep. Also, go to our website, BayCityBoatLines.com. Michelle Judd is the person that coordinates all that. Her contact information is there, and depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for a band, if you're looking for a catered meal, whatever, we do weddings on board. We do class reunions, business trips. Pretty much anything.
Where are you docking now, on the north or the south side of the Vets Bridge?
We're actually on the north side of Veterans Bridge, right in front of the Doubletree Hotel now. We've got a long-term lease with the city to be there, and it's great to be back downtown again and
one
being
less
visible.
Bridge
and
to open?
One less bridge to open. Yep, absolutely. So that helps.
You can't make it under.
We're not able to make it under any of the bridges. We need an opening for all 4 bridges in town with the Princess. So.
What's the routine for that? Do you have to give them notice that you're about to go, or
generally we give them a call on the radio saying give a security call when we leave the dock and let them know we're headed that way. With the construction going on recently with Liberty Bridge and Independence Bridge, we have to give them 2 hours notice now so they can move their construction equipment. So every morning we give a phone call down to the bridges and to the construction company saying we got a trip coming and be ready for us because we're on the way.
They can't deny, but they have to leave that river navigable,
right? Yeah.
Because it's a federal waterway.
Federal waterway, federal law, and they have to keep it open for us. Like right now, the shipping season won't start until at least after April 19th because the Coast Guard has the river closed to navigation for Independence Bridge. The construction company was able to get the river closed, so they're not able to open the bridge for commercial traffic until at least April 19th now.
Yeah,
so.
because of the work they're doing on it.
Correct.
So that impacts you too. So you couldn't run anyway, but
right.
you don't run till the end of the season.
Yep.
So what's in the current newsletter, Mr. Esteemed?
Oh, the current one? What was the current one? Oh, let me check my memory. Oh, yes, it's coming to me now. Oh, yes, the Frederick T. Kellers. Yes, the legendary harbor tug that was here in Bay City.
Did I hear you say, Todd, tugs are gone now?
No, we still get a lot of tugs. In fact, we have a tugboat stationed on the Saginaw River now from Great Lakes Towing. It's the Tug North Dakota. It's 114 years old. It's stationed up in Saginaw, and it was pretty busy this past summer on the river. So,
no kidding.
The tug's been rebuilt, though, so it's not a 114-year-old
well,
relic.
but it's still 114 years old. You know, it's It's not going to be a modern tug by modern standards.
Oh yeah,
because they're unbelievable new tugs.
but things are looking up where they're basing a tug here. That's progress.
It says that there's enough shipping to make it worthwhile.
Yep, and that's what I said. They'll be stationed here as long as there's demand. They'll stay here and be in business. So,
wow. So they have a crew that just is on call?
They're on call. Yep, they come up from the Detroit area usually. So a couple hours they can be here and.
So the boat's here unmanned.
Right.
They just show up if they need to run it.
Yes.
Well, that's progress that I guess nobody thinks about. All right, let's remind everybody, Don, again about the presentation this weekend.
Okay, it'll be at Trinity Episcopal Church, the corner of Center and Grant, 6:30. Todd will be our presenter, and it's free and open to the public. We have usually a break time where we have great refreshments, and all that's free. It's more of it's a social educational outing, so we try to have a lot of fun with our programs and some trivia questions about the Great Lakes and forth.
Don, thanks for being with us as always.
Well, thank you always.
Todd, a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure.
We'll see you on the water this year.
Absolutely.
David, thank you much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
And we'll take our last break, come back and close out.